สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
Good morning brothers and sisters in Dhamma I am Sunanpon Rakjan
Good morning to all Kalyanamit around the world. I am Nirupon Chantra Kunsiri. Welcome to Meditation for Peace, the show that will bring you the peace of mind.
When Buddhists greet one another with words like dear brother or friends in Dhamma, they want to remind and reflect that in our lives, there is the existence of opportunities, pleasure and pain. Dukkha or dissatisfaction exists in aging, sickness, continual parting from loved ones, and death. All men are brothers and friends that have to go through these together.
Yes. And when we realize this, we should know that the only thing that seems to have any real meaning in life is how much we have developed the mind towards compassion, loving kindness, wisdom, and equanimity.
Yes, to have a happy and worthwhile life, we should use these qualities for the benefit of others and ourselves. Because of this, we make the effort to produce this show to give a gift of Dhamma to all, wishing that this truth of life can somehow help solve problems in life or free you from sufferings that life may bring.
Yes. The Buddha encouraged everyone to accept any religion that contains this truth. But so far, if you haven't found it, perhaps you should try the method he employed, which is called the middle way meditation.
This meditation method can lead you to the discovery of universal truth that lies within. As the Buddha has said, in this very 1 fathom long body, along with perception and thoughts, I proclaim the world, the origin of the world, the cessation of the world, and the path leading to the end of the world.
Yes. Shana was saying that if you want to see truth, you must know where to look. This very body and mind is your area of investigation. Let us now begin with practice of the middle way meditation instructed by the most venerable Parajapavana Visud, หลวงพ่อธรรมชโย
ตั้งใจหลับตาเจริญสมาธิภาวนากันจ้าหลับตาเบาๆพอสบายหลับตาเบาๆพอสบายหลับตาคลอดลูกพอสบายคล้ายๆกับตอนที่เราใกล้จะหลับอย่าไปบีบเปลือกตาอย่ากดลูกในตานะจ๊ะแล้วก็ทำใจของเราให้เบิกบานให้แจ่มชื่นให้สะอาดให้บริสุทธิ์ผ่องใสไร้กังวลในทุกสิ่งไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องอะไรก็ตามให้ปลดให้ปล่อยให้วางทำใจให้ว่างๆไม่ผูกพันกับอะไรทั้งสิ้นไม่ว่าจะเป็นคนเป็นสัตว์เป็นสิ่งของเป็นสิ่งมีชีวิตหรือไม่มีชีวิตก็ตามนะเราปลดเราปล่อยเราวางให้หมดเพราะว่าสิ่งทั้งหลายทั้งปวงนั้นเกิดขึ้นตั้งอยู่แล้วก็ดับไปทุกสิ่งไปสู่จุดสลายทั้งสิ้นจะเป็นสิ่งมีชีวิตหรือว่าไม่มีชีวิตก็ตามล้วนไปสู่จุดสลายทั้งสิ้นต้องผุต้องพังหมด แม้แต่ร่างกายของเราเนี่ยก็เป็นอยู่ชั่วคราวไม่ช้าก็ต้องไปสู่จุดสลายเหมือนกันเรามีชีวิตก็เพื่อมาทำพระนิพพานให้แจ้งมาแสวงบุญมาสร้างบารมีเท่านั้นแล้วก็มีเวลาจำกัดในโลกมนุษย์นี้ที่เราจะต้องแสวงหาหนทางพระนิพพานหรือทำพระนิพพานให้แจ้งก็เพื่อจะสลัดตนให้พ้นจากกองทุกข์เพราะชีวิตในสังสารวัฏเนี่ยมันมีแต่ความทุกข์และอันตรายเนื่องจากว่าเรายังตกอยู่ในอำนาจของกิเลสของอาสวะความโลภความโกรธความหลงซึ่งกิเลส3 ตระกูลนี้นะมันจะบังคับให้เราคิดพูดทำในสิ่งที่ไม่ดีแล้วก็จะมีวิบากกรรมที่เป็นทุกข์ในอบายในมหานรกในอุสธนรกในยมโลกในภพแห่งเปรตอสุรกายและก็สัตว์เดรัจฉานจนกระทั่งมาเกิดเป็นมนุษย์ก็มีอุปสรรคของชีวิตมีอุปสรรคของชีวิตนานับประการทีเดียวตั้งแต่มีความเจ็บความตายความแก่ความชราความพลัดพรากจากของที่รักประสบในสิ่งที่ไม่เป็นที่รักปรารถนาอะไรก็ไม่ได้ดังใจเราเป็นต้นเพราะฉะนั้นเราจึงจำเป็นจะต้องทำพระนิพพานให้แจ้งมันมีทางเดียวเท่านั้นแหละที่เราจะต้องเลือกเดินทางเพื่อความรอดของชีวิตความรอดความปลอดภัยและก็มีชัยชนะเพราะฉะนั้นเราก็ต้องปลดต้องปล่อยต้องวางทำใจให้มันว่างๆไม่ผูกพันเกี่ยวข้องอะไรกันเลยเราก็ต้องรักตัวของเราเองแต่ไม่จะเห็นแก่ตัวรักตัวก็คือการขนขวายที่จะทำตัวเราให้พ้นจากกิเลสจากอาสวะและก็แสวงหาหนทางพระนิพพานซึ่งเราได้ศึกษาเรียนรู้มาแล้วว่าทางไปสู่นิพพานนั้นนะต้องเริ่มจากกลางกายของเราต้องเริ่มจากที่ศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7ซึ่งอยู่ในกลางท้องของเราในระดับที่เนื้อจากสะดือขึ้นมา2 นิ้วมือเพราะฉะนั้นตอนนี้เราก็ต้องทำใจของเราให้เบิกบานให้แจ่มชื่นให้สะอาดให้บริสุทธิ์ผ่องใสแล้วก็มาสมมุติว่าร่างกายของเรานะปราศจากอวัยวะภายในสมมติว่ามันไม่มีปอดตับม้ามไตหัวใจเป็นต้นให้เป็นปล่องเป็นช่องเป็นโพรงเป็นที่โล่งๆว่างๆกลวงภายในคล้ายๆมันเป็นท่อแก้วใสๆเป็นปล่องเป็นช่องเป็นโพรงเป็นที่โล่งๆว่างๆกลวงภายในคล้ายท่อแก้วท่อเพชรใสหรือคล้ายกับลูกโป่งที่เราเป่าลมอัดลมเข้าไปกลวงภายในคราวนี้เราก็เอาใจของเราเนี่ย มาหยุดนิ่งๆอยู่ที่ศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7ซึ่งอยู่ในกลางท้องของเราในระดับที่เหนือจากสะดือขึ้นมา2 นิ้วมือหรือเราจำง่ายๆว่าอยู่ในกลางท้องของเราเอาง่ายๆแต่ต้องทำความรู้จักว่าฐานที่7เนี่ยมันอยู่ที่ตรงนี้เหนือสะดือขึ้นมา2 นิ้วมือกลางท้องแต่ในแง่ปฏิบัติจริงๆเราก็ไม่ต้องกังวลเกินไปให้ใจกลับมาอยู่ในตัวแล้วก็หาหลักของใจเพื่อจะผูกพันใจเอาไว้ให้อยู่บริเวณศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7เราก็ต้องกำหนดบริกรรมนิมิตขึ้นมาในใจคือสร้างมโนภาพว่าในกลางท้องของเรานั่นนะมีดวงแก้วใสๆกลมรอบตัวเหมือนดวงแก้วกายสิทธิ์ขนาดใหญ่เล็กก็แล้วแต่ใจของเราชอบที่ใสเหมือนกับเพชรที่เจรไนแล้วไม่มีตำหนิเลยใสบริสุทธิ์อยู่กลางท้องหรือจะนึกเป็นพระแก้วใสๆให้ท่านนั่งเจริญสมาธิภาวนาหันหน้าออกไปทางเดียวกับตัวของเราในกลางท้องก็ได้เอาอย่างใดอย่างหนึ่งใน2 อย่างนี้นะจ๊ะใจของเราชอบอย่างไหนเราก็เอาอย่างนั้นเป็นบริกรรมนิมิตเป็นที่ยึดที่เกาะของใจเราแต่การนึกภาพทางใจนั้นต้องใจเย็นๆค่อยๆนึกคล้ายๆกับเรานึกถึงสิ่งที่เราคุ้นเคยคล้ายๆเรานึกถึงภาพดวงอาทิตย์ดวงจันทร์ดวงดาวเพชรสักเม็ดหนึ่งหรือน้ำค้างที่ปลายยอดหญ้าหรืออะไรที่นอกเหนือจากนี้ให้นึกคล้ายๆอย่างนั้นนึกธรรมดาสิ่งใดที่เราคุ้นเคยแล้วก็นึกได้ง่ายแล้วก็นึกได้ชัดกว่าสิ่งที่ไม่คุ้นเคยเพราะฉะนั้นเราก็มาสำรวจตรวจตาดูเราจะนึกระหว่างดวงแก้วกับองค์พระใสๆอย่างใดอย่างหนึ่งนั้นเรานึกอย่างไหนง่ายกว่ากันแล้วรู้สึกสบายในการนึกเราก็เอาอย่างนั้นนะจ๊ะขนาดไหนก็แล้วแต่ใจเราชอบอย่างเล็กก็นึกเล็กชอบปานกลางก็นึกขนาดปานกลางชอบอย่างใหญ่ก็นึกเอาไม่ชัดเจนก็ไม่เป็นไรชัดแค่ไหนก็เอาแค่นั้นไปก่อนอย่าไปใจร้อนไปเค้นภาพจนกระทั่งปวดลูกในตาอย่างนั้นไม่ถูกวิธีนะจ๊ะนึกไม่ได้ก็ไม่เป็นไรอีกเหมือนกันใกล้วางใจนิ่งๆนุ่มๆเบาๆสบายๆอย่างนี้ก็ได้เพราะวัตถุประสงค์เราต้องการดึงใจของเราให้หลุดพ้นจากความสับสนวุ่นวายหรือสิ่งที่เราไปผูกพันไว้ให้กลับมาอยู่ในกลางท้องของเรา จนกระทั่งอยู่นานๆแล้วก็หยุดนิ่งในสนิทเราต้องการความหยุดนิ่งของใจเท่านั้นไม่ว่าเราจะนึกเป็นภาพหรือเราไม่นึกเป็นภาพก็ใช้ได้ทั้งนั้นขอให้ใจเนี่ยมาอยู่ในกลางท้องแล้วหยุดนิ่งสนิทเหมือนติดกาวชั้นดีไว้ที่กลางกายนี่คือวัตถุประสงค์เพราะหยุดเป็นตัวสำเร็จมันต้องนิ่งมันถึงจะมั่นคงมีเสถียรภาพใจมันต้องนิ่งๆนุ่มๆสบายนี่คือวัตถุประสงค์นะจ๊ะคือต้องการให้ใจนิ่งใจหยุดเพราะฉะนั้นเราเลือกเอาระหว่างนึกเป็นภาพกับไม่นึกภาพถนัดอย่างไหนก็เอาอย่างนั้นหรือนึกเป็นภาพจะเอาภาพไหนดวงใสๆหรือพระแก้วใสๆก็ได้แล้วแต่ว่าเราชอบเราถนัดเราคุ้นเคยนะจ๊ะแต่ต้องนึกอย่างสบายๆแล้วก็ผ่อนคลายเพราะวัตถุประสงค์ต้องการให้ใจมาหยุดมานิ่งๆอยู่ที่ศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่ 7เพราะหยุดเป็นตัวสำเร็จที่จะทำให้เราได้พบต้นทางสายกลางภายในเพราะฉะนั้นเราก็จะเป็นมนุษย์มหัศจรรย์เมื่อใจเราหยุดนิ่งสนิทติดตรงกลางกายเห็นดวงใสๆเห็นพระใสๆเห็นแสงสว่างภายในนะจ๊ะ
One thing we learned from the truth factors of enlightenment is that all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this is wisdom, then one becomes dispassionate toward the painful.
Yes. When we have developed the mind towards compassion, loving kindness, wisdom, and equanimity, we will have a balanced, peaceful mind at the time of death and in our life now.
Right. Let's take Japan as an example.
Yes.
For things connected to life-affirming events, people would turn to the Shinto rituals, but in connection to tragedy or suffering, it is Buddhism. It may say that because Buddhism helps confronting tragedy with the power of truth and a peaceful mind, at the time of death, people will have to depend on the strength of their own minds.
Yes, you are right. Sometimes a tragedy may give you the opportunity to go inward, learn and develop the understanding of what life is and how to go off the things which give you difficulty, to let go of the future and of the past.
That's true. And now we would see what we could learn from the interview episode. Let's meet June then.
Sawadee-ka. Hello and welcome to the Meditation for Peace program. My name is Jennifer Janari Wong and I will be your host for today. Today we have the wonderful honor of having Mr. Robert Mawson, also known as Ajahn Tamabut, here with us today. Mr. Robert Mawson, or Ajahn as you will call him on this program, is the medical miracle man. He is a miraculous person who has cheated death 6 times through the power of meditation. At the age of 66, Ajahn travels around the world to share his eventful life and how meditation has transformed him and became his lifesaver. His fascinating experiences of escaping the deathbed were featured by both the Discovery Channel and the Hallmark Channel. This renowned Englishman, currently living in the United States, will share with us how he came to learn about meditation and his experiences in teaching it to people from all over the world. Let us welcome Ajahn Tamabut here on this program. Ajahn, Sawadee.
Thank you for that very kind introduction. You were talking about how I actually came to meditate for the first time.
Yes.
And that was 23 years ago when our twin sons were born.
Mm-hmm.
My wife had worked in Bangkok with the United Nations for 10 years, and she brought over a Thai nanny to look after our children. And I would, in the evening, drive the Thai nanny to a Thai temple near my home, and the monks at that temple were from Wat Pak Nam Pasisharon,
Oh, the famous
the famous
temple.
temple in Bangkok. And one of the monks asked me if I'd like to meditate, and I said I'd like to do that. And he said, well, I will teach you if you make me a promise.
Yes.
So I was curious to know what the promise would be.
Right.
And he said, I will teach you if you promise me you will come 5 nights in succession. And I said, I can do that. And because I was already about 46 years old by that time,
Mm-hmm.
or 43 years old by that time, it was difficult for me to sit on the floor as a Westerner.
Right, right.
And I could only sit for 5 minutes the first night,
Oh, yes, yes.
10 minutes the second, 15 minutes the third, and on the 4th night for 20 minutes. And on the 4th night, the monk who was teaching me said that I shouldn't worry because sometimes I will sit for hours and I will think it's only a few minutes. And I thought, well, that will never happen because I'll keep my promise, I'll come back tomorrow, and then you'll never see me again.
Right, right.
But on the 5th night, I meditated, and then my teacher said, now you may softly and gently open your eyes.
Yes.
And when I did so, he said, without looking at your watch, how long do you think you've been here?
Oh,
And I said, I really don't know, maybe it's 5 or
5
10 minutes.
it felt
And
really quick.
Right.
Yes.
And he said, now you can look at your watch. And when I looked at my watch, I had been there for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And I was quite astonished. That was the beginning of my meditation experience. I meditated some more, and then I eventually stopped meditating.
Right.
However, in 1990, my wife was sent by the UN back to Bangkok,
Yes.
and so we came here to live for 3 years. And then we went back to America. In 1994, we returned, and I had a dream about being a monk in the forest, being a forest monk. And I shared that with my wife, and she said, well, if you'd like to meditate, why don't you go to Wat Pat Tamagai? And I said, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, what is that? Right.
And she said, well, I have been there, and it's a very big temple in Rangsit. And she had been out to Wat Pat Tamagai to test the groundwater because she's an expert in groundwater with the UN. And she was testing the groundwater for the Waterworks Authority of Thailand.
Right.
And they had given her a tour of the temple. So she brought me out here, and I fell in love with Wat Pat Tamagai.
Oh, wonderful.
And I meditated in the meditation village for 2 weeks
Okay.
and had wonderful experiences. And on the last day, my wife and children came to pick me up, and we offered food to the monks. one of those monks had actually spoken to me about my experience, and he took the tray of food, and he said, "Please wait at the international office before you leave. I'd like to give you all a small gift."
Yes.
So we waited there, and he gave us all a little crystal ball to take with us. Well, you know, I never thought I'd ever see that monk again,
Right.
and we returned to the United States. However, I'd met some staff here.
Yes.
Dr. Siriporn was one of them, Dr. Mu,
Mm-hmm.
and Kun Palawat, who is now in the New Jersey Center. And they were in New York, and they asked me if I could come and help them in New York City with some documents that they had translated from Thai to English. Could I check the English for them?
Right.
So I met them in New York. At that time, my wife happened to be in France with the UN.
Okay.
My children were in summer camp,
Yes.
and I was home alone.
Oh, wow.
So they suggested that I fly to Azusa in California and meditate at the Dhammakaya Meditation Center there. But in those days, the airline tickets were quite expensive,
Right.
and I couldn't see why I should fly to California when I could meditate at home in New York. And they said, well, it was a very special place, and that there were monks there who would teach me. So in the end, I just said, okay, I'll fly there. And I flew to Azusa, and when I arrived at the temple there, the monk who'd given me the crystal ball at Wat Pat Tamagai
Right.
happened to be there.
So the one in Thailand.
The one in Thailand was now in Azusa.
Wow.
And he said, what are you doing here? And I said, Luang Pi, I can ask you the same question.
Right.
And he said, well, I teach meditation here. And I said, well, that's wonderful, because I came here to meditate.
Perfect.
So I meditated with Luang Pi for about 10 days. And his name is Prapi Yongsak.
Oh, yes.
And I kept a journal, which I still have to this day. And I gave Luang Pi my journal every day. And what I didn't know is he was sending that journal here to Wat Pat Tamagai,
Oh.
and someone was translating that and giving it to Luang Por every day. And then after 10 days, Luang Por asked Prapi Yongsak if he would ask me to come to Wat Pat Tamagai to be a guest of Luang Por.
Wow.
And Luang Por had never invited any Western person to come here at that time.
Right.
So, of course, I couldn't say no.
Yes.
And I flew to Thailand and met Luang Por. And Luang Por said he would like to meditate with me one-on-one.
Yes.
And I should share my experiences and to draw actually what I could see inside. And so I meditated with Luang Por.
And
Luang
how long
Por
was this for?
for about 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks
Yeah.
with Luang Por.
And he actually told me that I had been teaching people to meditate for many lifetimes.
Oh.
So that
how
was fascinating
exciting.
for me.
Yes.
And he then, at the end of that time, asked me if I would be his voice in the West.
Wow.
And I deemed that a great honor.
Yes.
And I started to cry, actually. It was such a moving experience. And Luang Por just smiled and said, fortunately, the tears that you're shedding are tears of happiness and joy.
Aw.
They're not tears of sadness. And of course, they were not tears of sadness, they were
Right.
tears of happiness. And I was very pleased that he had given me that great honor
Yes.
to be his voice in the West.
Yes,
And,
it's an honor that he doesn't give too often.
pardon me?
It's an honor that is not given too often to people.
Right.
Yes.
And I became then, eventually I started to teach, and I taught here in Thailand meditation classes, meditation courses. And I became the very first Westerner, and the only two Westerners who've ever been formally certified by Luang Por
To teach meditation.
meditation. And the other person is Don Barry, who is known as Dhammadida.
Okay. And how did you end up being given the name Ajahn Thamabut?
Luang Por decided that I should have a Pali name, and he arranged for a ceremony.
Oh.
And in the ceremony, I got my teaching certificate,
Yes.
which was in Thai and English. And in another ceremony, he arranged for me to get my Pali name. And I have a beautiful certificate, both in Thai and English, saying that I now have this, it is to all beings that I have this new name, and in the future I'll be known to Thai people and the world as Tamaput.
Wow.
And I actually ordained here at the temple in 2001
Okay.
for a short time, and my name Tamabut, which is Dhammaputta,
Yes.
was changed to Dhammaputto.
So Dhamma Buddha meaning son of Dhamma,
Yeah,
and Dhamma Buddha meaning
the son of Buddha.
the son of Buddha. Wow. So you got two very, what is it, synchronized.
Yeah, two very beautiful
yeah,
names.
it's very
actually.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow. And actually, I hear that during your 2-week stay, or maybe it might have been shortly thereafter, that Luang Pa gave you a beautiful crystal ball. Is
He
that
did.
true?
He did, yes. In fact, I have it with me today.
You do?
And
What a treat.
Yes. And this is after I'd meditated with Luang Por for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And he actually gave me this crystal ball. And it's very special because when he gave it to me, he told me that it was very holy, and I
Right.
should be the only one that touches it. And also that he never imagined his life without this crystal ball.
He's
And
always had it with him.
he wanted
Yes.
to give it to me. So this crystal ball is very special, and I take it all around the world with me, and I always have it on display when I teach, and I tell the story of how I got this crystal ball and how special it is to me.
Right.
And my students love that story.
Yes, and it's very special to the giver as well. The
Yes,
Luang
absolutely.
Pa.
Yes,
Because, yeah, I think you had mentioned that you believe that it used to be Kunyai's crystal ball.
yes,
and
I
it was
believe
given
that.
to
Yeah,
him.
I believe that Kunyai gave this
Wow.
crystal ball to Luang Por. I'm not 100% certain of that, but
Right.
that's what I've been led to believe.
Right. And so, can you tell me a little bit more about your heart transplant surgery and
Yeah.
how that ties into your practice of meditation?
Yeah. I was born with heart disease,
Yes.
and it was only after 12 years service in the British Army
Okay.
that that heart disease was discovered. And when I was 30 years old, I had to have both of my my heart valves replaced with metal valves. And I was told that I would probably live another 5 years if I led an easy and sedentary life. So as soon as I was well, I went to live in Iran and climb mountains in Iran. I went to Greenland and lived with Eskimos.
Oh, this is definitely a
And,
rather sedentary,
Yeah.
boring life, isn't it?
and I walked the deserts of Iraq and
Wow.
Syria.
Wow.
And I tramped the jungles of Cambodia and Laos and Thailand. And I traveled to the Arctic Circle.
Wow.
And I did outward bound training in the
Yes.
mountains in the USA.
Quite
I
an
became
adventure.
a diver
Yes.
and went to the South Sea Islands with my wife diving. And we were diving shipwrecks on the ocean floor and doing
Oh,
all
wow,
kind of
how
other
exciting.
fun things.
Yes, yes.
And to the amazement of doctors. And I didn't die, but during the next 30 years I had several sudden cardiac arrests and was defibrillated back to life, fortunately, back to life each time. And then in 1998,
Yes.
I had a defibrillator, which is like a pacemaker
Right.
placed in my chest.
Right.
And then 7 years ago, I was very, very ill. and I had to have a heart transplant. However, before I had the heart transplant, the Discovery Channel came to talk to me and asked if they could film me before I got my heart transplant, during my heart transplant, then after my heart transplant. And they wanted to know how meditation had really helped me and how it would help me in the future. I was an interesting case study for the hospital because they knew I meditated. And I was actually teaching patients when I was very sick. I had often a room full of patients, and I was teaching them all to meditate.
The patient with the patients in his
The patient,
room.
yes. And one doctor came in and he said, I've been a doctor for 38 years and I've never seen the sick ministering to the sick.
Right.
That means, you know, he'd never seen a patient helping other patients as if he were a doctor.
Right, right.
And I wasn't pretending I was a doctor, but I was certainly helping these patients who were very afraid find some inner peace.
Right.
And what's interesting is during my heart transplant, which was filmed and shown on Discovery Channel all around the world to millions and millions of people, you see me being pushed into the operating room.
Yes.
I'm wearing a headset
Yes.
and I'm smiling because I'm listening to my own meditation CD that I made at Wat Patamagai. And when I come in, the very famous Dr. Oz, he was my surgeon, he
Oh,
says,
was he?
yes, he's a wonderful man. He says, all of that meditation and all of that psyching up you've been doing is really going to help you today. And he was right, because all the way through the surgery, I still had my headset on, and I was listening to my own meditation CD, and there's no doubt that my recovery was shorter. I was out of the hospital quicker
Right.
than I normally would have been if I had not meditated. The drugs for my new heart gave me osteoporosis,
Oh, I see.
a thinning of the bones,
Okay.
with resulting kyphosis. Kyphosis is a Greek word meaning that the body bends over at the waist like that. So I had 13 compression fractures in my spine, and I had to have 3 surgeries, totaling about 16 hours in all, to have metal rods and pins placed the whole length of my spine. And in 3 years, I shrunk 6 3/4 inches.
Oh, my.
And I tell everyone that when you see my wedding pictures, my wife is here and I'm up here.
Right.
But now we're the same height.
Same
you know?
height.
Yeah.
But she likes that, right?
And she likes that, yeah. So that's a lot of height to lose in a 3-year period. And I still have a lot of pain from that surgery. But I help ease the pain with meditation.
In light of many major catastrophes that happen in the world, on this day people may have the attitude that the world is almost over. What do you think of this?
Well, as far as Buddhism is concerned, there are explanations of why calamities happen. Collective karma to seeing the calamities as sign of an apocalypse. But if you ask me do I think the world will end soon? I would say no, because we have just celebrated 2.5 millennia of Buddhism in 1957. And according to the Buddhist scripture, there is still Maitreya Buddha to come after this Gautama Buddha.
So considering these, you believe that it should not be the end of the world soon.
Yes.
But how would you explain the present world situations?
I would say that this is only a phenomenon whereby the people often create excessive desire or excessive aversion, thus unbalancing the mind, pulling us farther away from peace, or cause a loss in balance of nature. Man, because of this, his action is the master of his destiny.
So, in your opinion, is there anything we can do to avoid these misfortunes?
Yes, of course. To try to stop the calamity, you perhaps need a help of Superman, Chana. But to personally escape from it, you need to keep pure your body, speech, and mind, to the point that this calamity, which resulted from collective bad karma of mankind, is withdrawn from your surrounding.
So, you're saying that our reaction to sensual pleasures, we must exercise extra care and be more responsible.
Yes, of course. This is an important issue, but before we further our discussion, let's take a little break for the Dhammatesana.
Children Porn, or audience of DMC around the world. Today we come back again to have a good Dhamma talk. Today I would like to talk about gratitude. I think all of you know gratitude is a good value, an important value of Buddhist. Gratitude, in Thai we call this term as Katanyu, that comes from the Pali term. It means that the person who still remind any help or support of the others. It means that anybody help us in any way, we still remember and remind about that. For example, we still thinking for father and mother who look after us from our very, very young. And then our teacher who taught us a lot of knowledge for any level of education, or anybody who help us, like friend, relative, or neighborhood. What it means, if we still remind for any help, for any support, it means that we still respect to that person, and this respect can encourage or motivate us to do good deed. It means that anytime we do good deed, we can make people who help us can be more appreciated, and there will be like more happiness, more happy, and then we appreciate to help the other. For example, like monk life, every day, monk depend on community. The community helps monks, especially for food. Every day, the people give food to monk, and anytime monk think about that, it encourage monk to practice more meditation, to train ourselves more, and then try to try to spread the knowledge of the Lord Buddha teaching to the people more. It means gratitude can help people to train themselves more, and then it brings the good value of morality back to the society. Now we are in the month of April. So for Thai, we know it's an important time of the family, because there is a day that called Songkran. For Songkran, for Thai, it's important day. We can say it's a family day. Can say that the National Family Day is the one that all traffic of the country is crowd. Every people go back to see their parents, their family, their community. This is one important time. And you don't try to ask anybody to work at that time. The people give more importance for their family. Then what happened to Songkran? First, we look what means Songkran. Songkran is the Sanskrit word. It means move from last year to the new year. I mean the time that we change year. This tradition comes from India, and Sanskrit is not Buddhist. It's like some influence that come from like Indian, like Hindi or Hinduism. And then some talk about truth, like truth Thai, we call truth Thai. Truth is come from Tamil. Tamil is the language that the people use it in the southern part of India, and then some in Sri Lanka. is same. This language is not majority Buddhist who talk. Normally it is Hindi. So then this tradition is not really Buddhist. But anyway, Thai accept it as our tradition. What happened for Songkran or Tut? What Thai doing for this day? We do gratitude in Songkran. First, we think to our family. So then explain why people go back to their home to pay respect to their parents. Not just that, we do also to pay homage or respect to our ancestor. Because in some family, we still keep the arch of their grandparents or some ancestor. And then this day, people come and do merit and transfer merit to them. And for the parents, they come to pay respect. And then we use the water as the medium to show respect. We put the water, the spring water, to the hand of the elder and let the elder bless. It means we show respect, and the elder feel that they are still the model or the spiritual leader for the younger generation, and that father and mother show their children to do, and then we can keep this tradition longer and longer. And then in school, what we do the same. The school will arrange for the student to pay respect to their teachers. They do the same. They pour the water to their teacher in the hand of the teachers, and then show respect of the student to the teachers, and can keep their respect to the knowledge, can let them learn better, learn more, and can be wiser and a good person. And then again, come to the spiritual dimension. So about temple, it's not just the temple as temple, but in any house. Normally in Thai we have altar, we have the place for the Buddha statue. That day is Songkran day. People will clean the altar and clean the Lord Buddha statue, especially, and then pay respect with the flower water, and the whole family do the same. And then in the house show respect to the triple gems. And for the community, for the society, same. We go to the temple and do alms in the morning, and can do release fish, release bird, or release any animal. That another tradition for Buddhists to help that animal to prolong their life, that we can get the karma, that we have the better health, and then can prolong our life too. One special activity of Songkran, people will bring sand and bring it into the water, because we consider that anytime we come into the temple, the sand will attach to the shoes, and we take sand out of the temple. So one year we come back, and each family, each person carry one bucket of sand and give it back to the temple. It's another way to pay respect. And the way the people come back to temple, it means the center of spiritual feeling for the community, that help the people come and do merit together. So in general, Songkran is the way that the people in community come together and do merit for their parents, for their teachers, and then spiritual teacher means the Lord Buddha in the house and the Lord Buddha of their community and the temple. Then if all people do like this, it means we show the good start, a good beginning of the year, and then it can be lead us to have a better year. And later, if we look in the modern time, we can see it's not Songkran that it was before, because now a lot of people consider Songkran as a water festival. People pray water, push water to others everywhere in Thailand. What happened? Because we are in the summer, it's hot, and then with water it helps people. They help keep feeling that we not in the so difficult time. We do it in the different way. We take water and throw to each other and make happy, make fun. If we do it by respect, it still keep our way. It's our tradition. So anytime we still keep respect, always is good. But we need to encourage the society to be careful too, because now there are a lot of problem of alcohol drinking, alcohol consumption during Songkran, and lead to a lot of problem later, especially like accident, because it's one most accident of the country during Songkran. So anybody, maybe you are in another countries, or you can watch this program in Thailand, be careful. Don't try anytime to take alcohol, because it's against to our Buddhist tradition, our Buddha teaching, and alcohol never give us the real happiness. It make you to lose your money, and you can lose a lot of things later than that. Never take alcohol is the way of the Buddhist. And then it can help us to not have more accident. And then more we can do like that, we can keep the Thai tradition as it should be, because the tradition as its way help us to keep tradition as heritage. Because it helps us to come back to home, to parents, to keep the good feeling, the love, the compassion, the union between family. So do it with mindfulness, do it with your open heart, do it with your pure heart. So never try about alcohol, and try to encourage your friend not to do like that. And if we can do like that, we can make Songkran as it should be, and then we can be the example of the world that Thailand can be a country that people still love family, people still love to come to pay respect parents, and don't forget anytime come to the temple, anytime come to your home. Anyway, meditate every day, because meditation help you to have always concentration, and then you have mindfulness. For any time you meditate, help yourself to guide or manage your life better, and then your life will be always in the better and better direction, and you can be the good person and can be example for yourself, for family, and then the community. Okay, let's celebrate Songkran at its right way, and then it's our Buddhist way.
When wisdom awakens within you, you will see truth wherever you look. Truth is all there is. Let us come back to the topic of guarding the world by guarding our actions of body, speech, and mind.
Yes. Do you know, Shana, that the most venerable Luang Por Thammachayo is now creating many world heroes by inviting 100,000 men to be monks in the religion.
Yeah.
Those people will have an opportunity to cultivate themselves in virtues. The magnitude of their purity and merit can protect them from the past individual karma as well as collective karma.
I see. What Luang Por is concerned with most is the well-being of mankind. He saw the restoration of real morality as the undiscriminating way out of calamity, which is caused by collective bad karma of humanity.
Yes. This matter is not only urgent but of great importance to our survival. Thus, it is held as the main task of the Earth Day event.
Right.
Everyone must come to join the event. It doesn't matter what you believe are. At the end of the day, you will find out that there is no refuge for you except the merit of your good deeds.
Yes, just like the Buddha said, by effort, earnestness, discipline, and self-control, let the wise make for himself an island which no flood can overwhelm.
Yes, that's right. But unfortunately, we are running out of time.
Right. Then we have to leave our viewers with the following video presentation of a merit-making activity of Wat Prathamakaya, an example of the Buddhists cultivating good deeds. We are the results of what we were, and we will be the results of what we are. He who leads a righteous way of life will find that noble virtue itself will protect and guide him. Join us next week for Meditation for Peace. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
องค์พระแก้วใสอันนี้เป็นสิ่งที่คุณยายนะครับได้ทุ่มเทนะครับแล้วก็ได้ใช้ในการบูชาข้าวพระมาเป็นเวลานานนะครับแล้วก็เป็นมีอยู่เพียงไม่กี่ท่านเท่านั้นที่จะได้รับอันนี้นะครับพอเราได้ยินตรงนี้แล้วปุ๊บเนี่ยเราก็รู้สึกโอ้โหเราเป็นแค่1 ใน 1,000นะครับที่จะได้รับในองค์พระแก้วใสอันนี้นะครับเราก็รีบเลยเป็นปลื้มที่จะได้ไปเก็บไว้ที่บ้านนะครับก็ครั้งนี้เราก็รีบเขาเรียกตัดใจเลยแล้วกันนะครับตัดสินใจในการที่จะนำเงินที่เรามีอยู่จริงๆไม่มากนะครับก็คือว่าเราพยายามจะทำแล้วก็รวบรวมทรัพย์ที่เรามีแล้วก็นำมาบริจาคในครั้งนี้เพื่อร่วมสร้างองค์พระบางคนอาจจะคิดว่ามันไม่สำคัญนะครับแต่สำหรับเราเนี่ยเราคิดว่ามันสำคัญมากๆเพราะเรารู้อยู่แล้วว่าทุกอย่างอานุภาพชีวิตนี้เกิดได้ด้วยบุญนะครับเราอยู่ดีกินดีสบายดีอย่างนี้เนี่ยก็เพราะบุญนะครับเราอาจจะไม่รู้ว่าบุญมาจากไหนแต่ถ้าเราตัดสินใจได้อย่างนี้เนี่ยก็คือว่าในส่วนที่เราจะได้รับต่อไปในอนาคตเนี่ยเรามีความเชื่อว่าการที่เราทำบุญครั้งนี้เนี่ยจะทำให้เราเนี่ยอยู่สุขสบายแล้วก็ได้รับผลดีๆตอบแทนมาในอนาคตนะครับแล้วก็ในส่วนนี้นะครับก็คือมันไม่ได้มีทุกคนนะครับที่เห็นว่าคุ้มค่าแต่ต้องลองคิดให้ดีๆนะครับว่าท่านมาได้อย่างไรท่านอยู่สบายอย่างนี้ได้อย่างไรคงไม่มีใครตอบท่านได้นะครับแต่สิ่งที่ตอบผมในวันนี้ก็คือบุญเท่านั้นที่ทำให้เราอยู่สุขสบายแบบนี้นะครับเราอยากเป็น1 ใน 1,000ที่ปิดองค์เจดีย์ในครั้งนี้จริงๆนะครับแล้วก็เป็น1 ใน 1,000ที่จะได้รับพระของขวัญนะครับที่คุณยายนะครับสั่งสมบุญมานะครับเราก็อยากเป็น1 ใน 1,000นะครับที่ได้ร่วมเดินขบวนในวันที่ชิตังเมในวันที่ปิดองค์เจดีย์จริงๆนะครับก็อยากจะเชิญชวนทุกท่านนะครับทรัพย์หาเมื่อไหร่ก็ได้ครับแต่โอกาสนี้มีแค่ครั้งนี้ครั้งเดียวไม่มี1 ใน 1,000อีกแล้วนะครับอยากเชิญชวนนะครับถ้าท่านมีกำลังทรัพย์มากทำมากมีกำลังทรัพย์น้อยทำน้อยนะครับอยากมีกำลังแต่ผมคิดว่าทุกท่านทำได้นะครับอย่างเราเองเนี่ยไม่ได้ร่ำรวยมาจากไหนนะครับเราก็เอาเงินจากการทำมาหากินของเราเนี่ยไม่ได้เป็นเศรษฐีมาก่อนแต่จากการที่เราตั้งใจทำนะครับเราคิดว่าการที่นำเงินมาทำบุญเนี่ยคุ้มค่ากว่าเราเอาเงินไปใช้ซื้อทรัพย์สินอื่นๆเยอะแยะมากๆนะครับก็อยากจะเชิญชวนนะครับทุกท่านให้มาร่วมทำบุญในครั้งนี้นะครับโอกาส1 ใน 1,000ไม่มีอีกแล้วนะครับอยากเชิญชวนทุกท่านนะครับ